So the NCAA has proposed this rule that would allow the 5 remaining, teams So the NCAA is proposing this rule that would allow everybody inside the NCAA a one-time transfer without sitting out a year if they are in good academic standing and they have all of their affairs in order, right? I think we all agree that this is a good rule, and more than that, most of the NCAA already agrees that this is a good rule because there are only 5 sports that don't allow this, among them college football. Now, college football coaches are against allowing kids to transfer without penalty for a number of reasons, right? They believe that if a kid isn't cutting it, that is not their problem. The problem is, do you want to fight through adversity? Are you going to stick it out? Because something better could come along. Now, Gary Patterson is joining this group of coaches who are going on the record to say, I think that this transfer rule is a bad idea. And the reason that he cited it was what I just said. Guys go into the portal and most of them don't come out or don't come out at a situation for which he thinks is better than the one that they were already in, right? He says they use it as a way to retire from football, and he cited one of his former players went from playing for the Frogs to selling mixtapes out of the back of his car. Now, first of all, we don't sell mixtapes out of back of cars anymore, Gary P. You would know that if you were not confined to your walls of millions. Like Michael Bloomberg, you just don't know or don't care about how the rest of us get down. Ain't nobody sold no mixtape since 1993, and his name was Hove. He's a billionaire now, okay? What you do is you put your music on SoundCloud and you share the link, right? You could sell a mixtape, but we don't make tapes anymore. Even then, we don't even burn CDs anymore. I bet Gary P's out there listening to 8-track tapes right now, okay? Because this sounds ignorant. This sounds offsides and out of shape. You got to shape back, Gary. Because right now, you're joining the ilk of Justin Fuente and Randy Edsall as saying, hey, if you go into the portal, you can't come back. You know what else you have in common with those dudes? They can't win the leagues that they're in, okay? Fuente can't compete with Clemson. Edsall can't compete with Memphis or Cincinnati. You can't compete with Oklahoma. Not in the last 2 years, at least. You have a losing record. Not all of us can get paid $5 million to go 12 and 13 over the last 2 years. All while you brought in a quarterback named Matthew Baldwin who chose to leave a situation where he was facing adversity. And yet and still, you're going to ride for Matthew Baldwin if Max Duggan gets hurt, or you think that he's just a better quarterback than Max Duggan, because that's what we're talking about, right? We're talking about when this benefits you, it's fine. You're not the person that is going at Matthew Baldwin's chest, going take your butt back to Ohio State and compete with a guy who finished like 4th in the Heisman balloting, okay? Threw 41 touchdowns versus 3 interceptions with 3,200 yards passing. Baldwin is going to be pretty decent, I think, at Texas Christian if he gets a chance. But as far as this hypocrisy, man, this is the thing that I can't stand in sports. Let the kids do what they're going to do, because the more that you try to rule by fear, the more you incite revolution, which is where we are. We're at a revolutionary point in college football with the start of the transfer portal in October 2018 to the oncoming of name, image, and likeness, where the kids can finally profit off of what they have spent their lives building toward. You only have 85 scholarship players every single year, and yet and still you're trying to hold on to what you got by saying, hey, if you go into that thing, I'm not going to help you. You don't get that way. You don't get there without being sorry, right? Lincoln Riley loses 9 guys into the portal. He has some sideways things to say about it. They get back to the college football playoff in 2020 is what many people believe, right? They've been there for the last 3 years in a row. They've had 5 straight Big 12 championships. The portal is a part of the process. And if you don't want to recruit the kids that are already on campus, perhaps it's time for you to go, Gary. Perhaps it's time for you to go get another job. Because today, to compete, you are going to have to recruit kids coming out of high school and kids into your program. You're going to have to keep them in your program by recruiting them every day. One of the things I like about the Ivy League model is they don't give athletic scholarships, okay? They give financial aid. What that means is if you decide that you don't want to play college football for Harvard or Dartmouth or Princeton anymore, that coach does not get to pull your scholarship. You're there on a financial aid from the university to go to school. There is no delineation. I mean, there's a clear delineation, between, yes, this person is a student, this person is an athlete, right? Because they're all students at these Ivy League universities, where we have this farce in the NCAA called student athlete, when really it's just players. Because what are kids going to TCU for? Nah, the education is secondary. They're going because they think they're going to have an opportunity to get to the league, at least if they come to play football or basketball, right? And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the sports that people actually pay money to come up and see. We're talking about the folks that put up the money for your new stadium renovation. We're talking about kids who aren't going to make a dime in most cases. All they have left is their agency and their free will and their power to choose which enemy they want to conquer. Because maybe they don't want to conquer TCU football. Maybe like Justin Rogers, they want to go to UNLV, play for Marcus Arroyo, and try to conquer the Mountain West. There's nothing wrong with that. For you to say that most of the kids that go into the portal are just quitting is for you to miss that we all have the choice of who it is that we want to lord over us, to coach us up. Because perhaps they committed thinking that you were one way and then you were another. Because Gary Patterson is famously hard on his kids in practice, and that's the only way he knows how to coach. I understand that. But now in this age where we have more options than ever, everywhere, from what we watch to what we wear to who we vote for to where we play football, for you to try to come out here and just say, no, this kid's quitting, is wrong. It doesn't take into account all the factors that go into this, because you don't have the benefit of knowing all the factors that go into this, because you live in an ivory tower that is surrounded by $4.75 million. Right? If you had to earn it like the rest of us, if you had to make $30,000 a year and then pay taxes on that and then try to find out how to make ends meet with your family, I think you would have a different perspective on the transfer portal. I think you would have a different perspective on management versus labor. And that's what I'm after. I'm after a different perspective. I want to have everybody get the same opportunities to be stupid, okay? And that's what the portal allows. Not everybody's going to win in this thing, but not everybody can. That's what capitalism is. That's what college football is. It's a hierarchy. We even have this thing called the college football playoff that says if you aren't playing in a Power 5 conference, we're probably not going to let you into this thing called the college football playoff, and nobody has, right? Appalachian State, please. Boise State, not a chance. Find me a team outside of a blue blood program like Notre Dame, not playing in a Power 5, that's going to get you in, right? Because none of the blue blood programs play outside the Power 5, and Notre Dame kind of does. They're in an open marriage with the ACC, where they play 5 ACC games a year, and they don't have to play Clemson every year, and they don't have to play for a national or for a conference championship, but they get to play for a national title. That's entitlement. That's what that is. I thought guys like Gary Patterson were against entitlement. But yet, you coach and work in an environment that allows for it. All I'm saying is, if you're going to trot this opinion out, know that there are people that are going to hear what you say, negatively recruit against you, and like me, loudly yell at you. Because it's just wrong. You don't know what it takes to play football at this level, at this age right now. You only coach them. Okay? Listen to what they have to say. Let them tell you their stories. Get closer to their marrow and further away from the millions for which you are walled in by.